A lot of my business is customers bringing jobs to us. But when we go picking and looking for stuff to restore on our own, it's almost always more profitable, assuming that we find something worthwhile.
American Restoration felt like a real look at a family business trying to survive the pressure of fame. This deep dive looks at the best episodes of the series, reveals the strange choice to replace Rick with 5 different shops, and shows the end result. Basically, the network tried to prove that anyone could do Rick's job, but they were proven wrong in just 1 season. The show ended not with a bang, but with a quiet cancellation that left a lot of fans feeling very cheated and very angry. Rusted Relics Reborn. Before anyone started asking why it went away, American Restoration was everywhere on the television. If a person liked old machines, rusty metal, or the idea that something lost could be found again, this was the show to watch. It did not use loud yelling or fake fights to keep people interested. Instead, it worked because of hard work, staying calm, and the good feeling of seeing something broken start to work again. At its best, the show was not like anything else people could find on their screens. For starters, the show was a huge part of the network's plan for years. It was a spin-off from Pawn Stars, but it soon became its own big thing. On the other show, Rick Dale was the man people called when they had an old item that needed to look new. He did not just fix things, he told the story of the item. He explained history through paint and gears, and people loved it. Rick had something that is hard to find on TV. He knew a lot, but was not a show-off. He was excited about his work, but stayed very calm. When he looked at a piece of junk, he saw a story that needed to be saved. He knew how to tell that story to people sitting on their couches at home. That mix of skills made the people in charge realize they had a hit. When the show officially started, it moved away from the pawn shop and into the work itself. The cameras followed Rick and his family at their shop in Las Vegas. They took on very hard jobs like old soda machines and vintage gas pumps. Each episode felt like a small lesson in how to keep history alive. The show was a hit for a long time and had more than 120 episodes. It reached people in many different countries. At one point, it was one of the highest-rated shows on the whole channel. Millions of people watched every single week. For a show about sanding and welding, that was a big deal. What most people don't realize is that it's been missing for years because the heart was pulled out. The show worked because it felt real. The shop was messy and full of stress. It was personal. Rick's wife did the office work. His sons learned how to fix things while the cameras were rolling. People saw the mistakes and the missed dates. That made the finished items feel like they were worth the wait. Fans were not just watching things get fixed. They were watching a family try to make a living. This makes the end of the show even more strange. Even with high ratings and a lot of fans, the show did not have a big ending. There was no goodbye. 1 season stopped, and when the show came back, it was not the same. It had new people and new shops. The feeling was gone. Most of all, Rick Dale was not there. For a long time, fans thought the show just ended on its own. They thought 7 seasons was enough. But that is not true. The real story is much more uncomfortable. The show did not just stop, it broke into pieces. The choice that broke it ended up elementing the show for good. To see the real reason it ended, a person has to look past the numbers. They have to see what happened in the dark after season 6. The people who made the show a hit were suddenly told to leave without a good reason. A secret choice made by people in suits would soon turn a winning show into a total failure. Sudden disappearing act. The end of the show seemed simple if a person just looked at the dates. It ran for 7 seasons and then went away. It looked like many other shows that just fade out. But the timeline hides the truth. The show did not really end after season 7. It ended after season 6. Season 6 finished in 2014. It ended with no signs of trouble. The ratings were still very high. The fans were still there. It was one of the most famous names on the History Channel. When it ended, people thought it would come back the next year like always. But 2015 had no news. No videos were shown. No one said the show was being made. No reason was given for the long break. This silence felt very weird. Behind the scenes, the silence was on purpose. A big change was happening that would change the show forever. When it finally came back in 2016, fans knew something was wrong right away. Rick Dale was gone. He was not just away for a bit. He was totally removed. His family was gone too. His shop in Las Vegas was no longer on the screen. The family feeling that people loved for 6 seasons was missing. In its place was a new way of doing things. The show followed 5 different shops across the country. It jumped from place to place. There was no main story. There was no single person to lead the show. None of these shops were Rick's restorations. This was a giant change. The people in charge thought the fans only cared about the items being fixed. They thought the people did not matter, but they were very wrong. The show lost the thing that made it feel like a friend. It replaced a deep story with fast cuts and new faces. Longtime fans felt lost. They were not happy at all. So here's the deal with why that happened. Things get even crazier when you find out that Rick did not choose to walk away. He was fired. His whole family was fired too. This was a shock to everyone. People who knew the show well said it could not live without Rick. But the network did it anyway. There was no big fight in public. No one did anything bad. There was no drop in ratings to blame. By all the numbers we can see, the show was still a winner. This leads to a very bad question. Why would a network fire the people who made them money? Why would they bet on a new way of doing things that no one asked for? They ended up erasing a hit show for no clear reason. The man who built the shop had to watch from the sidelines as his life's work was changed. Failed creative gamble. By the time the show came back, the choice that would eliminate it was already made. The History Channel was testing an idea. Basically, they thought the idea of fixing things was the star. They thought people loved the process of removing rust and adding paint more than the people doing the work. They believed they could make the show bigger by showing many shops in different cities. They thought this would give the show a wider appeal and make it easier to film. But they forgot why people were watching. For 6 seasons, fans did not watch just for the medal. They watched for Rick's passion. They watched his family talk and work. They liked the feeling of the small shop in Las Vegas. By taking that away, the show lost its soul. The new version felt rushed. It moved too fast between 5 shops in 1 hour. There was no time to tell a good story. There was no way to care about the people on the screen. It felt like a list of things being fixed instead of a real story. And that's putting it lightly. The fans felt like the network did not care about them. The change felt like a replacement of a friend. Without Rick, the show was just a name. The ratings showed this truth very fast. People stopped watching. The engagement went down. The fans who used to love the show just turned off their TVs. The network made a huge mistake. They thought people were loyal to the name of the show. In real life, they were loyal to the people. This kind of mistake happens in TV, but here it was very bad. The show was about history and heart. Those things need time and the same faces to work. By breaking up the story, the producers broke the show's back. As season 7 struggled, no one tried to fix it. No one called Rick to come back. No one said the new idea was a mistake. They just let the season finish. When it was over, the show was not picked up again. There was no goodbye video for the fans. No one explained anything. The cancellation was quiet. The experiment had failed. The fans were gone. The ratings could not be saved. The brand was dead. The choice that was supposed to make the show live longer was the very thing that killed it. By trying to show that Rick was not needed, the network proved he was the only thing that mattered. Once that was clear, it was too late to go back. The damage was done, and the shop in Las Vegas would never be the same again. Legacy beyond cameras. When the show vanished from the schedule, there was no report on what went wrong. The network moved on and left the fans with nothing but a cold silence where a beloved family dynamic used to be. For Rick Dale and his family, the end was a massive loss that went far deeper than a simple contract termination. It was not just a job or a slot in a Tuesday night lineup. It was their whole life captured on camera for the world to see. Reality TV can often feel like it does not matter to the casual viewer, just another piece of disposable entertainment. But for the people living inside those frames, it is very real. Rick's Restorations was a legitimate, thriving business long before the cameras ever showed up in Las Vegas. For years after the show's peak, the shop stayed open, fueled by the momentum of its television success. Fans came from all over the globe just to get a glimpse of the neon signs and the graveyard of rusty Americana. but without the show on the air, the shop eventually started to get less attention. The work slowed down as the constant roar of the television engine faded. Eventually, the doors had to close for good. Some people online, looking to be cynical, said the shop was only ever for TV, but that was a lie. Rick had been turning junk into gold since he was a kid. The closure just showed how much the shop and the show were tied together in the public's mind. I'm not gonna lie, seeing that happen was hard for the fans. It felt like watching a piece of history get packed away in a crate. Rick eventually went back to a normal life, or as normal as it can be when people still recognize you at the grocery store. He uses social media to talk to his fans now, sharing glimpses of his projects and keeping the spirit of restoration alive. He does new things without a camera crew breathing down his neck, and honestly, he seems to have found a certain kind of peace in that. His wife Kelly, who was the glue holding the office together, works in real estate now, finding a new way to build a legacy. Their sons, Tyler and Brettley, still work with their hands, carrying on the skills they learned under the hot Nevada sun. They have carved out jobs away from the shadow of the show, proving they were always more than just characters in a script. What is truly interesting is that Rick never got mean about any of it. He never went on a late-night rant or said bad things about the network in public. He never tried to start a fight just to get back into the headlines. Hands down, he handled the entire situation with a lot of class. He didn't need to scream to be heard. He simply let the failure of the show without him tell the story. Is it possible for a show to ever survive after losing the very person who made it famous? If this look at the truth helped you, like the video and subscribe for more deep dives.